In minutes, you uncover more ancient knowledge than I have in a lifetime. And what you want to know is my name? Sylens. That's my name. Welcome to Legends, a series that delves into the lore within Horizon Zero Dawn, a world with an abundance of powerful and moving history begging to be explored. Today, with more information gained from our adventures in the frozen wilds, we will piece together what we know of arguably the most intelligent and secretive figure of the 31st century, Sylens. Until revealed to us by the Banuk shaman Aurea, the origins of Aloy's mysterious companion were a secret he was unwilling to reveal. After much prompting to Aurea, however, his past was made clear. As the story goes, a young, talented shaman arrived in the tribal capital of the Banuk, Ban-Ur, claiming to herald from the remote Owl's Watch Warak. He was noticed quickly for his unparalleled knowledge of the machines and gained favor of the shamans of the Conclave. As a reward, Sylens was made aware of what the Conclave called the Maelstrom, a holy place to the Banuk, housing the most sacred and prized machine relics known to the tribe. This was where he was last seen by the members of the Conclave during their traditional meeting at High Winter. Upon their return, Sylens was nowhere to be found, and their relics stolen. Trackers were sent out to find him, but none returned. Runners were sent to Owl's Watch to seek out those who had confirmed him as their shaman, but they too had vanished. All of this brought suspicion to if he was even Banuk at all. As far as appearances, the blue wires interweaved into his skin are a definitive link to Banuk shamanism, but when it comes to a man with this kind of relentless ambition, sacrificing his body may have been a price he was more than willing to pay. Sometime after this, on the heights of King's Peak, Sylens discovered the ruins of Gaia Prime. For a man obsessed with knowledge, the agonizing pain of being so close yet so far must have been maddening, as he tried every method available to gain entry into the ruin, but with no avail. Drills, explosives, the way was shut. His time on the mountain would not be wholly in vain, as he discovered a device that would set in motion events that not even he would entirely comprehend. Within his workshop, he set to work repairing a heavily damaged focus. With his gifts and understanding of the mechanical, he was able to repair it to functioning order. Once working, it began to detect a faint signal far from Gaia Prime. With the promise of new discoveries, Sylens could not resist and embarked to find its source. Within the ruins of Metal Devil, Sylens found what he had been searching for. After much tinkering, his discovery from the world of the Old Ones awoke and spoke.
I traveled far to find you. I heard your transmission. It was you, wasn't it?
Entity is not known.
I'm called Sylens, and you are. I don't think you'd have called out if it wasn't something you wanted. You called, I responded. Will you tell me your name?
Hades.
You are a creation of the ancients. A war machine?
Divine timeline.
Time? Ah. It is the 13th king of the Karja Sundam's reign.
Divine Karja.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Were you created by the ancients? I wonder how long you waited here, buried, until I chanced upon you. How long you'd have to wait for another. You're obviously very powerful, but you're not going to get anywhere without me.
Titan Flame merely houses intellect. Divine Karja.
Now that's more like it.
Hades provided many answers to Sylens. He gained knowledge in advanced mathematics and computer sciences, making him far more proficient in his practices than ever before. In return, Sylens would tell Hades of the new world to which he had been reborn. What truly piqued the interest of the subfunction was the famed spire of Holy Meridian. Though sacred to the Karja, Hades knew its true purpose. A transmission array of Minerva used to brute force deactivation codes upon the Pharaoh Plague centuries ago, and now, a worthy vehicle for Hades to fulfill its purpose. To keep the flow of information coming, Sylens had to devise a plan to achieve Hades' lofty goals, a feat he could not achieve alone. Luckily for the opportunist, The geopolitical landscape would afford him this chance. After the demise of the 13th Sun King Jiran, the Sundom was split into two warring factions. Those loyal to Avad, the liberator of Meridian from the tyranny of his father, and those loyal to the youngest child of Jiran, Itamen, who was the Mad King's chosen to succeed him after his death. The latter were known as the Shadow Karja, and were devout believers of the Sun Faith and had remained at the side of Jiran, believing, as their faith decreed, that he indeed spoke for the Sun, and even his most heinous actions were justified because of this. Sylens would use this blind devotion and manipulate their leaders with their own sacred prophecies through the words of Hades itself. He orchestrated a meeting where the High Priest Bahavas would come face to face with his new deity.
They're coming.
Preparations are complete.
Ah, Lucent Bahavas. Behold, as I promised you.
What manner of great machine is this? I've never seen such a thing. Stay! Stay your ground, Karja in shadow!
Incorrect. Bow before the buried shadow.
The buried shadow, I don't understand.
Did Araman understand the glint hawk that perched upon the alight?
It speaks scripture.
Araman followed the shadow cast from the spire.
To the mesa where Holy Meridian was founded.
You will follow the shadow once more.
I am a righteous man, chosen of the sun. But in times of need, the powers of shadow can accomplish what the sun alone cannot. Will you return to us what is ours, O shadow of prophecy?
An army is required. Obey, and Meridian is yours.
Of our obedience you can be certain.
With this, the cult of the Eclipse was born. Born from the greed of Sylens, he now had the manpower to appease his cybernetic accomplice. This, however, would eventually become Sylens' undoing. Using his knowledge, he repaired an entire network of focuses to be used by the cult, connecting their agents across the land, as well with Hades directly. Being the skeptic he was, Sylens left a back door into his own network that he alone could exploit, and monitored the transmissions of the Eclipse, a choice that would ultimately save his life.
Task is complete.
Yes. The focus network is active, built to your specifications. Check it yourself if you must. I'll wait. But I remind you of the reward you've been withholding. Quantum processing?
Data has been compiled. Volume too great for transfer.
How inconvenient for me.
Come before me. You shall receive your reward.
Very well.
Helis. Threat detected inside Eclipse.
Speak its name, O shadow, and it will die.
You will eliminate this one. Sylens.
Sylens. Yes. A truth whispered at night is seen in the day. He was never one of us. It will be done.
Sylens had outgrown his usefulness to Hades, and now his life was forfeit to the very group he had helped to create. With the Eclipse and the terror of the sun himself, Helis, tasked with his execution, he disappeared into the wilds once more. He would remain in solitude, working and watching from the shadows. This until a young Nora huntress with a focus forbidden to those of her tribe caught the attention of the disgraced shaman, thus beginning the events of the main story of Horizon. He would quickly realize this was no ordinary Nora, no ordinary person at all. He would continue to use her talents to undo the damage he had done during his time with the Eclipse and reestablish the status quo between Hades and himself. He would discover the truth behind Aloy's birth and her unparalleled importance and connection to the world that came before. He learned of the self-imposed cataclysm that destroyed the Old Ones, and most painful of all, the loss of the compiled knowledge of all the civilizations throughout the human race, erased in an instance by Ted Pharaoh's purge of Apollo. Eventually, Aloy would thwart Hades' attempt to resurrect the Pharaoh swarm, and prevent a second apocalypse. However, the course of events that followed would once again leave the fate of the world hanging in the balance.
Hello, old friend. Remember me? We've still so much to discuss. So much you never revealed. Your masters, for example. The ones who sent the signal that woke you. Knowledge has its rewards, don't you think? Well, let's begin.
This obviously leaves us with far more questions than it does answers. We can only speculate what exactly Sylens' next steps will be. What we have come to know during Aloy's time with the Banuk and Gaia's subfunction Hephaestus, that even after purging him from Cyan's system, it wasn't destroyed, and was only remotely exerting control from an unknown location. The same can be inferred with Hades, since after he was purged from Minerva, he was able to return to Sylens. The question now is Sylens in possession of the entirety of Hades? From the evidence available, it seems now more than ever the majority of Hades is not in his possession. Along with examining how Hephaestus took control of Firebreak, the line within the first meeting where Hades is discovered in the Metal Devil, he states, "Titan frame merely houses intellect." To me, this makes it more than apparent that there is far more to Hades' network than Sylens can possibly comprehend. What he plans to exact from the Extinction Protocol, we can't be sure, but it's hard to imagine it being anything benevolent. Whether after knowledge or power, Sylens along with Hades are still at large, and until fully purged or brought back into its code shackles, Gaia and the world she created are still in jeopardy. And with that, our journey comes to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated. And if you really like what we're doing at the channel, come join our community and hit that subscribe button. If you have any ideas of what Sylens is planning, or just have a great idea for our next episode of Legends, let us know in the comments down below. And until next time, thanks for watching, and keep questing.